folks, welcome back. My name is Rudy. You're watching Alpha Investments. You know, in Q4 of 2022, which was a whopping couple weeks ago, obviously the biggest news story in the collectible card world was Magic the Gathering, Magic 30, Wizards of the Coast, Amazon dumps, Hasbro getting mainstream attacks from B of A, financial analysts, Wall Street, all this stuff just boiled over into a disaster. And I genuinely thought it can't be, there's nothing that Hasbro could do that could be worse than what happened with the absolute nuclear disaster of Magic 30, fireside chats, cocktail parties by the CEO, Dr. Cox, the president of Wizards of the Coast, reading what Magic the Gathering is on Wikipedia, and stating that we don't overprint, we've never overprinted, we know what we're doing. You know, I thought at that point in time, we had hit peak, corporate suits, 69th floor in the ivory tower of people so disconnected, you realize how much they don't care. I was like, I knew we had hit peak cringe, peak memes, peak jokes, peak political correctness and agendas and all this stupid corporate speak. And then I wake up in the last 48 hours from a Taco Bell coma, and I start hearing these rumbles about Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. And I remember in the fireside chat, after the CEO of Hasbro, Dr. Cox, after he stated about how many people recognized him at cocktail parties, I remember there was a moment in that corporate conference, I guess it's not even an official conference call, it was a fireside chat. I remember there was a moment where the president of Wizards of the Coast, this woman stated, and the Hasbro CEO, Dr. Cox, had a moment, and they stated that we feel Dungeons and Dragons is under-monetized, and that was their next target. And everybody kind of went, well, that's kind of funky. You know, it was a weird moment. It was a weird thing. And then it kind of disappeared for a few weeks. The fire burned out. The holidays moved on. More people recognized Dr. Cox at cocktail parties. And we all just kind of marched forward and were trying to leave the Magic 30 fiasco behind. And then suddenly, in January of 2023, in the last 72, 96 hours, all this information starts coming out about Wizards of the Coast and getting to customer wallets. And now I'm starting to hear about leaked messages from higher-ups in WotC Hasbro about D&D. And now I'm hearing about this third-party license, about creators and independent people can make their own D&D dungeons and fun add-ons and quests, all these things that have been going on for ages. And apparently there's an attempt from these people at the top that are unbelievably clueless. Now they have pivoted. We're using the pivot! They pivoted from nuking Magic the Gathering to, Bob, what can we go after next that could be the worst possible direction? Do we need to spin the wheel? Do we need to play Twister on the mat? What do we need to do? And I guess that comment on the fireside chat with Magic the Gathering about under-monetizing D&D, I remember how awkward that was in the Magic conversation. And boy, did we not realize the next leg down in this bizarre bag of cocks story of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. It is a continuing saga unlike anything I've ever seen. So ladies and gentlemen, at this point right now, this isn't really something we covered. We don't really cover D&D on this channel. I'm a cardboard CCG, Magic, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo, Yu-Gi-Oh! And your stepsister, washer dryers, wife's boyfriends, memes. We don't really cover the D&D landscape. I've never really had a good local play group when I was younger with D&D. I never had a lot of good memories and nostalgia just because I worked a lot. I never really got to experience it. I heard it's a lot of fun though. And now today we're finding out. I even heard from messages in news articles that even if a content creator makes a Kickstarter about making something that's D&D related, that Hasbro is going to take some of the Kickstarter money that they created because of the branding and the open license thing is changing. And I'm not fully crispy clear on how the waffle fries and the 8-piece chicken nugs are going to work on this, but let me tell you something. From what I'm gathering, is to me it feels like this company is now targeted the next thing to nuke. Okay, we've already, overprinted a million Magic things, 18 million variants, Amazon dumps, Magic 30 disasters, and they claim everything's beautiful and it's just rainbows, butterflies, and just flying giant never-ending story dragons, right? And now they went to the D&D, which they said was under-monetized. And now I guess the concept here is to kind of fine or charge everybody around the world who makes any D&D unique add-ons and fun things. I guess the mafia boss wants a cut. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. And again, I struggle to understand what exactly is happening with this Hasbro WotC corporate at the top 10 floors of this ivory tower. Is the air so thin they all just become morons? Is it a circle jerk type thing? Are they all kind of, nepotism, dating each other, fooling around? Do they have hidden holes in the wall where they jump and they become carrots and they just they hibernate? Like, I don't understand what this small subset of people at the top of this food chain see that the other 99% of the world can't seem to grasp. That's the weirdest thing right now. And again, the theories continue to swirl. I've theorized to many of you out there for a while about Hasbro's objective of increasing cash flows, revenues, and margins, and they're blaming on Wall Street forces growth. We need to double... that's kind of... I feel like it's almost like an easy scapegoat out. Because in reality, a board of directors is assigned to public companies, part of being a public entity, to make sure that one or two individuals don't become completely loony. They don't go crazy. That's the purpose of a board of directors. So you have a board of a bunch of Dr. Cocks sitting around, so if one or two cocks get too big and too erect and too powerful, the rest of the cocks can sit at the table and say, hey, you need to throttle it back. You need to come down a little. Giggity. You need to throttle it back. You are becoming too large and too erect. This is getting weird. And I don't grasp what is the real end goal here. People ask me all the time, Rudy, what's your end goal? What's he going to do with all this inventory? What's he going to do? I mean, he's just going to just ride off in the sunset covered in reserve list card? Look, there's clearly something going on at the Hasbro WotC level. And whether it's these people are trying to fluff numbers and generate as much money as possible at the cost of damaging the long-term brand because they're not going to be around for the damage. They'll retire in the sunset. They'll take their stock packages or bonus for hitting metrics. Maybe that is really the simplest, most realistic, probable outcome. But right now, everybody continues to try to figure out what the hell is going on with these people. It's just weird. And to see this new pivot in Q1, and now it's like, all right, we nuked and wrecked Magic. What do we own now? What can we destroy next? It's weird. So the conspiracy theories are continuing to swirl regarding A, trying to inflate numbers, show growth to help the stock price go up, or possibly sell, spin off, or break up entities, or who knows. There's that theory that continues to swirl around. B, there's pretty much theories that these individuals know their time at Hasbro, Papa Bezos' Amazon dumping facility. There's a theories that a lot of these individuals at WotC and Hasbro have been there a long time. And the theories are they know they don't have many years left, and they're trying to cash in as much revenue, growth, stock, bonus, payouts, quarterly comp, or whatever the hell their compensation packages are. And they're trying to milk it for all they got in this kind of grand finale, finishing him kind of Mortal Kombat ending move. There's a lot of theories into that. And then theory number 3 that a lot of people think is, Rudy, don't overanalyze it. The market's overanalyzing it. The simplest answer is probably the truest. And I always say, well, what do you think the simplest answer is? And a lot of people believe the simplest answer with this Hasbro Wizards now just going after D&D, after scrapping some movie things, scrapping some video game lines, the company just does a terrible job at this stuff. It blows my mind that this company and these people at the top, how did they get there? Is it really like a nepotism thing where it was friends of a friend? Is it wife's boyfriends? Is it all your husband, your wife, and I'm going to promote you because you're banging my ex and you bailed out my stepsister from the dryer. She was stuck there for 3. Like, how do these people get there? Because many times it starts to look so ridiculous. You kind of step back and you're like, there's clearly something missing. We are looking at a puzzle with so many pieces that don't fit. Maybe the pieces don't go to that puzzle. Maybe there's other things we don't see in front of us. Because again, they continue to go in a direction that's absolutely mind-boggling. And I've never seen a company that owns the IP and the rights of Dungeons and Dragons in Magic the Gathering, which is literally a license to print money. I've never seen a situation like this where it's like they're so high on their own supply at the top, they've gone cuckoo. So that's where we're at. It's a new development of, I guess, post Magic 30, and now they're on to the next thing. It's weird. It's really bizarre. And again, it doesn't represent over 90% of the hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of employees that work within this corporation doing the R&D, designing, playtesting, researching, the artists that draw it up and sketch it, present it, get changes and submit revisions. It has nothing to do with all these people. They're not the ones making millions of dollars. They're not the ones who have any power or control over what's happening. They're just doing what they love of either the arts, the design, the playtesting, the ideas, the themes, the mechanics, the new... And, I guess at this point, I'm like, something's eventually going to happen where some of these people inside are going to revolt. That's kind of another theory I have. We've talked about Rudy's theory of possible spinning off, selling, company gets too low, another company comes in and buys them out. The president of Wizards of the Coast has all these ties of tech companies and Amazon where she came from. I mean, these people have ties to a lot of other big companies. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some shady backroom bizarre things that could be in the works. And the other thing was, I always wonder if we're ever going to have a situation where there's going to be the employees who love what they do for a living, who've been at Wizards or been at Hasbro for 5, 10, 20 years or 30 years, and they're going to be like, dude, what is happening? I'm surprised we haven't hit a point where people haven't started leaking things, recording conversations, and doing crazy things, because there's going to be a point where the people at top get so drunk with power and money that they just lose their mind and they get detached to the point where the rest of the culture corporate entity could go against them internally. It could be like an internal conflict. So I want to make this video to lay out that while we go into 2023, the first Magic release of 2023 is a home run. It's a beautiful product, a lot of fun to open, very good quality, Dominaria Remastered, Draft and Collector. And, I'm happy to see this positive tone. Pokemon's doing phenomenal. Tight print runs, not reprinting every card to oblivion. Everybody wants booster boxes. Supply is very tight. The market's moving forward. Pokemon printers are going crazy. They're making a ton of money. The market's happy. Products are still collectible and not overprinted. Flesh and Blood's getting ready to announce their big new set with Outsiders. MetaZoo's got into a new world with Native. You've got even Yu-Gi-Oh! With their anniversary products. You're seeing even all these, you got new games coming. These new One Piece is doing really well. I haven't been a part of it. You got Disney with their new game. You've got Sorcery coming out this year. You've got a lot of things happening. And then you got Magic over here. It's like there's a bunch of hamster wheels in the ivory tower, and they're all just facing each other, and they're just running, looking at each other. Again, we're just watching the story unfold, the D&D kind of battle going on and conflict. I'm not really a part of. I've been following it. I may do a couple follow-up videos on it, but it's fascinating. And I felt that my audience at least wanted to be aware of what's going on. That pretty much, to sum it up at the end of this video, if you're still watching, Hasbro has now got their new target, and they're going after it, and they appear to be wanting to milk the people who love that product line. Buckle up, Buttercup. Welcome to 2023. Thanks for watching, folks. Have a beautiful day.